So I'm going to bring it in Willow, Field of Dreams. I'm going to position it in the top left corner. It doesn't matter where you put it as long as it's straight. That's the thing, because you're working with a cutting file now. You need to have it straight. Otherwise, you've got to start rotating the cutting file, and you don't want to be doing that because it's not easy to get that accurate. Right, so the files are on a USB. It's just a random USB. So we go to Retrieve Data, USB, and we go into so I've got all sorts of different things on here. We go into Willow here. It doesn't say at the bottom that it's a certain size, so that means it's the original. So you go into your Reflections Cuts and the original. And then the first one is your decoupage file, and your second one is your full image file. So we go into Reflection Cut. We wait for it to come up on the screen, and we've got our 6 little willows right there. So the next thing we do is press OK, and we need to group them together because we're going to move them as a whole. So we go to Edit, Multiple Select, everything that's on the mat, press OK, go to Object Edit and group them together. Okay, so they're now one piece. Look, I can move them right the way around that screen. So the next thing we're going to do is scan in the reflection, so we can then line the red rectangle on your screen over the black rectangle that's on the reflection itself. So super, super easy to do. So we load that in, and then we press OK twice, and we go to our scanning button and we press start. And it's going to bring up a full colour image then up on the screen, and you literally lay the 2 rectangles over the top of each other. So I'm going to go into my background and just make it lighter so that I can actually see the cutting file. I'm just going to drop it roughly to where it needs to be. I'm going to go into Edit and zoom up to 400%. And then I'm going to scroll down and just nudge that down and nudge it across until that red rectangle is in the middle of that black rectangle. Scroll down using the buttons underneath so that you can see that they're all lined up perfectly. And then I would just press OK, go to Object, Edit and ungroup it, and tap the screen to release the shapes. And I like to get rid of the rectangle. Just keep pressing OK until you get to Please Select and Cut, and you cut it out, and it's that simple. So on the bottom it will say Field of Dreams, Willow, Reversed Reflection. Okay, so it's just Willow facing the opposite way. That's the only thing that's different. Now, rather than doing a whole new cutting file, it's much easier for you to just flip it. And the reason for that is if we had to put the reverse on of every single one of the files, 1, it would need a bigger USB, so that would make it more expensive, and 2, it would take it longer to open. So for speed and for cost, we're actually making it the best that it can be. So I'm going to just go back from the beginning again. So I'm going to press Home, and we're going to recall that file again. So Retrieve, USB, find Willow, go into the reflections, and we want the original one. And we want the actual image, the whole image of the robin. So once it's done this, we're going to group, same thing again, group it, edit, multiple select, everything that's on the mat, press OK, go to Object Edit and group it together. And then all you do is press that button and it flips it. So now when I scan this in, do exactly the same thing. It's one more button that you press once, that's all it is. It's that simple. Now, if you've cut the original and you've still got the robins on there without the rectangle, and you want to just think, well, I might as well just use that file, group it together, then flip it. Don't flip each one individually because it'll take you too long. Just group it, flip it, and it should be more or less in the right place. You might need to nudge it up and down a little bit, but more often than not, it'll be perfect. Now, the other thing that we've found recently, and I'm going to talk to you about this as this is scanning through, is that sometimes, depending on how your printer feeds the paper through, it can shrink back the image slightly. So if it does that, what you need to do is when you look at your cutting file, if you think, oh, it's lined up perfectly at the top, but it's not quite right at the bottom, go to your resize box, separate the height and the width, so unlock the aspect ratio, and make the height of the rectangle that's grouped 253 millimeters instead of 251. And then use your directional arrow buttons and drop it down one space, and then it will fit perfectly from top to bottom. So I'm going to go to edit again. I'm going to zoom in to 400%. And now you can see that same file that we had that we just flipped is now going to sit perfectly in there. And as I scroll down, we've got all our little willows, but facing in the opposite direction. And that is how you do reflections and reverse reflections. Super simple. I think sometimes because it is so simple, you think that it can't be that easy, but it really is.
If you want to see more videos like this from Highlight Crafts, make sure you click on the subscribe button below. You can also go to the Highlight Crafts website to view our full range of craft products. And if you need support with your Two Red Robins journey, send us your how-to requests by emailing info@highlightcrafts.com.